Hello Odoo users, welcome to Vraja Technologies YouTube channel. Today we will see dynamic export records and how it works. This module can automatically export the records from Odoo to your FTP or SFTP server as per your configuration. This module supports CSV, TSV and Excel file formats. So let's start configuring our module. There are two main configurations upon installing. First is server and another is dynamic export records. Let's start by configuring our server. If you want to configure FTP, then you can configure under FTP syncing, and if you want to configure the SFTP server, you can configure it under SFTP syncing menu. Let me show you one of the FTP server I have already configured in my system. This is where you have to give your FTP URL, username, password, and you have to select your company. Upon clicking this button, you can see that connection is successful. Same thing goes for SFTP server. Now there's another one menu is log details. We will get to that later in this video. Now another configuration is dynamic export records. This is where you have to configure what type of records and which model's record you want to export in your server. First one is the name for your dynamic export configuration. Here you have to select the model, which records you want to export. So you have to, I want to export the sales order record, then I will select here sales order. This is the configuration of main table and subtable. Now, if you want to export records for one-to-many field in sales order, then you have to give this table is main table. For example, I have a sales order line in sales order and I want to also export that sales order line in my file. Then sales order will become the main table. Now there are few more configuration fields on the right side. First one is file name. You can choose the file name which is being exported. You can select file type, which type of file you want to export, TSV, CSV and Excel. I have selected the TSV. Here you can use the filter for from sales order. If you want to export selected records based on conditions, you can give those conditions in filter as domain syntax. Next one is select the server type. In which server you want to export this record, FTP or SFTP. Upon selecting that, you have to select the record of the server. If you have selected FTP, then you have to select the record of FTP over here. Now this is the path for FTP. In where FTP you want to export your records. Now here you can choose as many fields as you want from sales order model. I have selected few fields such as display customer, display position, order lines and transfers. The second field is many to one search field name. Now my customer is many to one field in sales order. Now if I want to export the name of customer, then I will select name over here. If I want to export the email, then I will select email over here. You can export whichever field you want from customer, and this is not required field. By default it will export the name of customer. Third one is required. If you want that your sales order record should have this value, then you have to select this required field. Now let's say my sales order record should have physical position share. Then only I want to export records. Then you have to do this. Right now I am not going for this configuration. The next one is subtable relational field. Now here I have selected order lines, which is one to many in sales order. So you have to configure one more dynamic export table for sales order line. Let me show you that. As you can see over here, this is not main table. You do not have to select the main table in sales order line, as this is subtable of sales order. You can again select as many field from sales order line over here. You can give the many to one search field name. You can make any field as required as well. Now we have managed to schedule actions for the whole process to then schedule actions. First one is prepare the file and another is auto process transactions. Now, upon running the first schedule action, it will create one transactions in our dynamic export record. As you can see right now, this is the transactions, file name, mapping table and state. Upon running the first schedule actions, it will select the records which are not exported. Right now hasn't selected any records because all records are already done. So for that we have to create the new record. Let's create new record. Let's save it and let's run the again and refresh this. As you can see, one more record is created for transactions and the state is in draft. Now if for some reason the file is not generated, you will see the state is failed and you will see one more button will compute over here on the left side. Right now everything is good, so file is generated. Another schedule action is for exporting the file to server. If we run this, it will export the file to the server. Let's come back over here and check it. As you can see, the state is in done. That means transaction is done and file is exported. And you can see the logs over here. The same log that we have skipped in FTP SFTP syncing manual. As you can see, the file is successfully uploaded to FTP local system. Now, that's all for dynamic export records. If you have configured more than one dynamic export model over here, it will export all the records at once. You do not have to configure anything other than FTP syncing and dynamic export records. Thank you.